What up, folks? What's going on? Welcome to episode 78 of the Spun Today podcast. I'm your host, Tony Ortiz. Thank you very much for listening. This episode is brought to you in part by the good folks at Amazon. If you want to support the podcast, you can do so relatively easily by going to spuntoday.com/affiliate links, or just spuntoday.com and click on the affiliate links tab up at the top, and there you will see an Amazon banner. You click on that banner, it'll take you to Amazon's website, and you do your shopping like you normally do. And this doesn't cost you anything extra. It just takes a couple clicks and it helps support the podcast financially, because Amazon gives a kickback based on just driving traffic to their website, and it's based on whatever you purchase at the normal prices that you're going to purchase them at anyways. So if you want to help support the podcast, please do so, and I'd really appreciate it. Now, this episode is a free writing session, and it's going to be a shortish episode. Well, you know what? I always say, not always, but when I anticipate the episode, being shorter than usual, like around the 1 hour mark, that most of them are, I say that, and it winds up being like an hour and a half or close to 2 hours for an episode. So, whatever. And it doesn't matter anyway, right? In the podcast world. This isn't like NBC or something like that, with pre-formatted like time slots and shit like that. The experience will last as long as it lasts. But I am going to jump right into it and just share two free writing posts with you guys today. And they're actually not even on the website yet. I still have to transcribe them onto the website. They're still in my notebooks and one of my notebooks. And I'm going to be reading straight from there. They are both in the format that, if you've listened to this podcast before, you know that some of my free writing is just straight up free writing. Like I put pen to paper and let thoughts pour out. And if anything that I think is good or shareable, that might like help or inspire or whatever somebody else, I post them onto the website. And so it's like one out of every like 50 things that I write put on the website. And that's one format of free writing. And another format of free writing that I do is based on, like, let's say a book or that I'm reading that I highlight a passage in or a quote or a song lyric or anything that, some dialogue in a movie that I liked. And I jot that down and I link to it so you guys can see it or hear it or read it in its full context. But then I write it down because it resonated with me in some way, shape, or form, and then I free write based on that quote or lyric or whatever it is. Both of these free writing pieces are based on that second format. And when I put it up on the website, which I will by the time you guys listen to this, it'll be on the website either with the date of July 26th, 2017, which is the day that I'm actually recording this. And I have to have everything ready, post-production, levelator, and post it up on for you guys by tomorrow, because this podcast comes out every other Thursday. And so it's either going to be on the website, the actual free writing piece is on July 26, 2017, or July 27th, 2017. Maybe I'll do it like tomorrow, sometime tomorrow. And you guys can go back and check them both out. I have to do more of this format of free writing, because it kind of gives me like a guide or something to go by, and which is not necessarily necessary, obviously, for free writing, but I like it. Like I have a separate notebook of just this format of free writing, and I have a shitload of like stuff that I've read and quotes that I've highlighted that I haven't free written to yet. So I have to go back and play some catch up and just put out some more stuff out there. It's kind of fun for me too to like go back and read through some of these to see if there's anything there that's shareable. And that's obviously like a matter of perspective, I guess. From your perspective, but it's cool just to see where I was at, just in terms of thinking and writing in general, I guess. Like one of these is from last year, 2016. Another one is from like 2013. Anyway, enough of that. Let's jump right into it. The first one that I'm going to read is a quote from the Book of Five Rings, Miyamoto Musashi, which every time I mention this book, I have to read this shit. I feel like a fraud because I haven't read the book, but I heard the quote on a podcast secondhand, and it resonated with me so much. It's one of my favorite quotes of all time. But I still haven't read the book, so there's something else I gotta fucking do. All right, but this is a quote, supposedly, because I haven't seen it with my own eyes, from the Book of Five Rings with Miyamoto Musashi, which was some like Japanese samurai guy. And the quote is, "If you know the way broadly, you will see it in all things." I've definitely like referenced that quote before in like other writing pieces, but I haven't shared this free writing piece that I wrote to that actual quote. And here's what I wrote to that. There are so many instantaneous connections that make it resonate. Strive for perfection in your craft or in anything that you do. With the motivation for that drive coming from a humbling place. Strive for that broad understanding, that enlightened like knowledge and wisdom. Picture your own version of perfection as a physical-ish destination that you see on the horizon. Between the horizon and yourself are journeys, paths to take, lessons to learn, things to develop during those journeys in life. To reach our destinations. To reach our perfection. In the distance, through all paths, through all things, you see your way, your perfection. And there is that you appreciate each individual aspect of the journey, because each one leads you to perfection. And I wrote that on Tuesday, June 18th, 2013 at 12:40 a.m. Now, from this, reading this now, and, you know, even then, I don't mean perfection as like an attainable goal, because I don't think that it is one, but as something to strive for, with the, you know, mentality of aim for the moon and you land amongst the stars, as the saying goes. It's like aim to be a 10, even, you know, and if you wind up being a 5 or 6 or 7, it's like your aim, your goal was beyond what you in retrospect will be satisfied with. And hey, if you reach that goal that you set as initially unattainable, then move the goal post forward that much more. So that's what I mean by perfection. And just inherently having a like the desire to make your shit good, like whatever it is that you work on. And this doesn't have to be like a creative, you know, I want to be a good writer and storyteller and podcaster. It doesn't have to be like that type of thing, although it obviously applies to any form of creativity or art. But in your everyday life, in your relationships, and in your work environment, in your 9 to 5, you know, strive to do whatever it is that you do, just do it better. In your meditation practice, do it better every time you do it. And what resonates with me so much from this quote, which again is, if you know the way broadly, you will see it in all things, is that way, what he references as way, my interpretation of that is that perfection. So if you know that perfection, that way broadly, you'll see it in all things. You'll see it in meditation. You'll see it in relationships. You'll see it at work. You'll see it in your writing. You'll see it in your podcasting, and you'll strive for it. You'll strive to reach it. You'll see that horizon. You'll see it, and you will go towards that. You will go towards achieving more, towards making yourself better in each of those individual aspects. But at the base, at its core, it's the way. It's that strive for perfection. What else did I like from here? All right, the whole concept of like the horizon, right? Between you and the horizon, it's all journeys. So picture like you're at a beach and there's a horizon, you see like that, and you can't see past the ocean. It's just the sky meets the ocean, and it's just like a straight line, horizontal, left to right, not straight, but you know what I mean. The horizon line, and between you and that horizon, it's an endless number of paths that you can take, and eventually you reach that horizon. It's kind of like how I feel about religion or spirituality or anything like that. It's like different paths towards the same thing, towards the same, whether it's universe or consciousness or God or whatever. Like each religion, each belief, each faith is just a different path to get there. So similarly, your goals, your whatever it is you're striving to achieve is that there's a horizon, there's you, and everything else in between. A shitload of paths, a shitload of experiences, a shitload of lessons for you to learn between now and then. And eventually, when you get there, because at the end you do get there, and it may not be what you expected, it may not be exactly what you wanted, it may turn out to be something that you never knew you wanted, but the end comes, and in retrospect, you reflect on all those paths and all those decisions and all those lessons learned and the lessons not learned, but you made it to your horizon. And I like that idea, that concept, that lack of structure and rigidity, even though I'm a very rigid person by most accounts. And there's something to that. There's something to this. Alrighty. Next is a piece from based on the book Zen Flesh, Zen Bones. I definitely have to go back to that one. I highlighted so much shit in it that resonated with me. A lot of it that I just didn't get and that I wanted to like revisit and to see if my perception has enhanced or changed or gotten molded by life and experiences in a way that maybe I'll get it. So yeah, I definitely have to revisit that book and do some more free writing on it. Which, by the way, the free writing in and of itself helps me at least figure shit out. So that's a component to this as well. All right, so Zen Flesh, Zen Bones, which was compiled by Paul. The version that I read was compiled by Paul Reps and Nyogen Senzaki. And the quote is, "When eating or drinking, become the taste of the food or drink and be filled." To that I wrote, be present. Fully immerse yourself in the now. From the most trivial task that you take for granted to the all-encompassing events that submerge your being. Stop and taste while you chew. Let your taste buds wake up while you swish around before quenching your thirst. Find satisfaction in all that is yours and in none that is not. When you are me and I am you, our differences are the same. Strive in perpetuity to becoming one. And I wrote that on April 12th. Oh, that's my birthday. I wrote that on April 12th, 2016 at 12:18 a.m. And right, this one's like a little hippy dippy, but which isn't necessarily a bad thing, by the way. Just trying to be objective here. And I like the whole being present thing, which is something that I have been striving to be more of. I'm usually off away somewhere in my own mind thinking of other shit. And but I've been doing a much better job of being present, though, I will admit, and meditating has helped with that. Let's see. I like the whole, like the wording, actually, like just the actual, in terms of writing, like it sounds not poetic, but it flows well. This part of stop and taste while you chew and let your taste buds wake up while you swish around before quenching your thirst. And that doesn't literally have to mean, it's analogous to not just physically chewing and eating, although it is that, and not just, drinking something to quench your thirst, although it is that, but it's analogous to just being present, being in the moment. Enjoy the movie that you're watching, enjoy the conversation that you're having, enjoy the podcast that you're listening to, especially if it's the Spun Today podcast. And it means more of that than just the literal that's written there. And find satisfaction in all that is yours and in none that is not. So that's like, to me, that's like a gratitude thing. Like, be content with what you have. Like, too many times and this is like a cliche thing to say, but I think it's true. Most cliches are, that's why they're cliches. We're looking over the fence to see if the grass is greener. We are thinking about the job that somebody else has that we wish we had, or we're wondering if there's another job that's better than the one we have. We are thinking of the bigger house to get. We are thinking about the nicer car to get. And we are not focusing enough on stuff that we do have. The car that we have versus the, not having a car, or the money we have to take public transportation instead of having to walk. The bike that we have instead of having to walk, or, being able to walk instead of being in a wheelchair or something like that. Well, we don't appreciate the things that we have enough. And I'm not obviously perfect. I do the same exact thing. We're human. I think it's important to realize that, and we will continue to go through spurts of, damn, I wish I had that apartment in Manhattan, or big house in the country somewhere, or whatever it is. And we don't appreciate, the small apartment that we have now, and stuff like that. It happens day in and day out, I'm sure, for you guys as well as with me. And that part there, which I'll repeat, says find satisfaction in all that is yours, means that, be grateful for what you have. And in none that is not, meaning don't find satisfaction in the stuff that you don't have. Meaning don't just think about the shit that you don't have and wind up being miserable because you don't have it. And that doesn't mean, don't strive for better things for you and your family, because you should have goals. You should, in my opinion, strive to be more, strive to be better, but not with a disregard for what you already have, what you've already achieved, and not with an envious tinge to it. Then this last part, this is the hippy dippy part, but there's something to it, I guess. When it says, when you are me and I am you, our differences are the same. So strive in perpetuity to becoming one. And that's just about, to me, again, as hippy dippy as it sounds, about being open enough to understand that other people are going through their own shit. And sometimes if someone's upset at you or snaps at you, it could be that they're just dealing with their own troubles, their own something. They had a shitty day. Understand that we're all in this together, and sometimes it's not the best approach to match fighting with fighting. Sometimes match fighting with love. And, this isn't a perfect science. Sometimes people are just shitheads, and you do just have to match fighting with fighting or cut them off. And that's, you learn as you go with that type of thing. There's no rule book or handbook to that. And that's just, life and interacting with people. But there's something to, that person on the train that is pushy and grumpy and upset. and not just writing them off as, oh, look at this inconsiderate asshole. Although they could be that, but it could be that they're coming from the hospital and their kid has cancer and they just lost their job and they don't know how they're going to pay the bills. You know what I mean? Like, it could be some heavy shit. Or it could be that they're just inconsiderate pieces of shit. But that possibility is not lost on me anyway. But it is what it is. And that's it, folks. Those are the two pieces that I wanted to share with you guys in this episode. And I guess it is going to be a fairly short episode. But there's nothing wrong with that, right? Maybe absence will make the heart grow fonder. And you guys will look forward to the next episode that much more. All right, so I'm going to give you guys a quick couple ways to help support the podcast if you